Hello. 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 Hi. How's it going? I'll tell you how it's going. It's hot. Hi, MJ. MJ, you're first. Congratulations. Uh, it's hot. I have only gone outside for about 10 seconds today because it is very hot. I went out to check the mail. um, my air conditioner has been chugging all day, but it is keeping up, so we're in good shape. So actually, I've been pretty comfortable inside the house today. Thank God for that new air conditioner. Um, Welcome. We're making red stew. Red stew. Now, this, I'm not perfectly following a recipe. I've looked at several recipes. This is one of the ones where there's a bunch of variation of this. I've looked at a bunch of different recipes for this, and I've kind of worked out the essentials. Um, what's interesting is it's a combination of European and I think Middle Eastern and African flavors. It's kind of an interesting combination. We're making red stew, loosely based on, well, not loosely based, fairly closely based on Nigerian chicken stew, Nigerian red stew. So we're in West Africa for this one, not lentils. We're in West Africa for this one. Um, this is one I've seen pictures of, and it always looks really good. And I want to try it. And what is causing me to try it is I got drumsticks, chicken drumsticks on sale. So we're using chicken drumsticks for this. Because I've always seen this with bone in, skin on pieces of chicken, usually drumsticks and thighs. Um, I don't often buy bone in, skin on thighs because I like thighs a different way. I don't often buy drumsticks because I prefer thighs. This was drumsticks, bone in. Drumsticks are always bone in. Skin on drumsticks on sale. So that's the main event. They are here. Oop. 5 drumsticks for $2. They're still a little freezy. I'm going to set them out. No, it's red as a result of the tomato and peppers. It's a tomato and pepper thing. We'll be using a can here. We're going to test this can, and if this can tastes metallic, we're going to go for a more recent can. Um, I tend to let things. Oh, actually, or possibly this one, strained tomatoes. Um, yes, tomato red, tomatoes and peppers, and I'm not going to be using the peppers that it actually calls for. It calls for Scotch bonnets, which I first of all don't have, and second of all are way too hot for me. Um, but I am going to throw in some of our Mexican peppers. I've got our guajillo. It's going to change the flavors, which is why I'm going with, we're using inspiration rather than following recipe. We're going to do some guajillo, and I think we're probably going to throw in some arbol, possibly just the one. Um, yeah, so there's a process to this, and the flavors seem interesting. Um, I might throw in a little bit of celery too. My celery's getting a little bit old in there, and I should use it before I just have to throw it away. But it's interesting. It's some interesting things because like it's thyme and ginger and curry and fruit fly. Got him. Oh, I got him first try that time. Um, yeah. So tomato red. That's the plan. The reference recipe I've got pulled up is from Chef Lola's kitchen, and we're using it loosely. Loosely. Most everything is going to be built. I just wiped off the counter so you can see it's still a dampness to it. Probably should just dry that off with clean that up. Most everything is just going to be in this pan. I think we're gonna be pretty close to just doing a one pan deal today, because things are going to go in there and then come out of there because we're kind of going to build flavors, and we are using stainless because tomatoes will eat right through our cast iron with the amount of simmering and boiling they're going to have. Also, this has a fitted lid, which might come in handy depending on how I end up wanting to do this. And we're going to skip... Hi, Glacier. You're not first. Congratulations. We're going to skip the fufu. Although I typically see pictures of this one served with rice. I have sometimes seen it served with fufu. I have had a terrible time in the past with fufu. And I don't want to make that the main thrust today. I don't want to undercut my thing. I want to undercut myself by going for that and then failing and then having a miserable time. So let me go grab my rice. We're going to start the rice first. Bob, hello. Your guy's doing a birthday stream. Well, wish him a happy birthday. From me. Ugh. We will use up the remainder of our rice tube here. Set that aside for a wash. Pull out one rice husk that made it through the mill. We're going to rinse this guy's off. Which I'll just do over here real quick. Nothing special rice today. Just classic rice. I did a rice cooker hack yesterday for dinner. I set myself up a thing of rice, threw in a stock cube into the rice cooker directly, and then perched 2 frozen sausages on top of the rice before I cooked it. And let me tell you, they came out perfect. They came out perfectly done. There's our washed rice. Why am I doing it this way? Okay, there's our washed rice. There's our washed rice with water on it. There's another fruit fly. The fruit flies really enjoying the hot weather. And we're just going to white rice it up over here in the cooker. So, happy birthday, Bob's guy. And hi, Bob. Bye, Bob. Good to see you. Glad to know you. How is everyone today? Today-o. That might be too much olive oil. That might be too much olive oil, but I'm going to commit to finishing that olive oil. Get that heating up. slide back over here again. I'm gonna open up the chicken. Chicken is our step one. Got an embarrassment to show you. This still stained. I have scrubbed this guy with vinegar, repeatedly with soap. I don't know what to do to get that orange stuff out of my nylon board. That is the spicy buttermilk marinade, the Buldak buttermilk marinade from our fried chicken, like 3 weeks ago. It left a permanent orange stain on my nylon board. I do not know what to do about it. Doesn't come off on anything. If it came off on anything, that'd be great. I'd soak it up with whatever it comes off on, but permanent orange stain. The chicken here is not. It's not massively vital that this chicken be fully thawed at this stage. We're going to sear off the surface to get some initial cooking on it, but it's gonna stew in the juices after that. So we're not really worried about it cooking through right here at the start. I do want to make sure that it's not attached to its meat diaper at the bottom, because they're a little bit on the freezy side. They came off the meat diaper real easy. I'm impressed. And they're nice and flat because they were kind of compressed. 5 legs, the fabled 5-legged chicken. I am not going to wash my hands because I'm going to handle these chickens again in a second. I'll wash my hands after that. I should wash all of that after that. So yeah, plan at the start. We're going to start by cooking these, give them a little sear in the pan, both sides, top and bottom, to get them started. Then we're going to pull them out, set them aside, and proceed to build more stuff in that pan. I want to get the chicken done right out of the way now, because we're going to end up handling it less this way, and I'm going to have to wash my hands fewer times. So we're going to, yeah. So kind of an awkward start because I want to wash my hands as few times as I can today. How is everybody doing? I guess I don't exactly know where all of you are located, but like at least half the US, probably more, is covered in a extreme heat event. And I know that Europe has also been suffering from an extreme heat event. So it sounds quite likely that maybe everyone watching right now is having an extreme heat event. And if so, I hope you're managing to stay a little bit cooler. I'm opting not to do anything with the oven. I think this dish probably actually wants to be a braise. But I'm going to avoid that because I don't want to fire up the whole oven today. So we're going to do it all stovetop. My air conditioner has been... I got a new air conditioner. The saga of the new air conditioner for the summer was a little bit of a struggle, but now that we are here, it is doing its job really, really well. I am very pleased with it. Okay. Chemical. Oh my goodness. It has been a second, hasn't it? How have you been? Ow! That is spitting something like mad. Okay, wash hands. So I can touch stuff, because that needs a lid. Hang on. Hang on, Chemical. The timing. The timing. Stop it. Okay. How have you been? I've been actually doing quite well. Right now, of course, is the insane apocalyptic heat wave. But boy, my profession, my work has been picking up. I have been moved up to assistant manager with an according increase in pay and responsibility. A smaller increase than I think I deserve, but you know, every little bit helps. That splattered way more than I thought it was going to. I'm just going to clean up these oil splatters. So yeah, things have been going pretty okay on the on my end. I also did just purchase a new computer. It hasn't arrived yet, but I did just purchase a new computer. Newegg is having some sales, and I decided to take advantage of that because I feel like prices are about to spike once again. That back burner is going to smoke something crazy next time we use it because all that little sprinkles is oil. I need a place to catch these when I take them out of there. We're going to go with a plate. Yeah, the way I've been graduated into it, they said they're going to step up the pay bit by bit. Bookwoman, hello. You just missed a splattering oil catastrophe in this here pan, but we've got it lidded and coming along. But welcome, welcome, hello, hello. We started cooking pretty much right off the bat today. That's right, I was going to take all my chickeny things and get them out of the way right away so that I can move on to cutting vegetables in peace and not have to worry about things being all chickeny. They were not just wet, but also still partially frozen. And the oil in the pan was perhaps a little bit deeper than it should have been. I didn't go for a build. I went for a laptop to go with my existing laptop. This one's not dead yet, but it's definitely showing its age and it's having some crashing issues that I think are... I'm concerned that they're hardware related. Okay. We are not splattering like crazy anymore, so we can take that lid off. As mentioned, we're not super concerned about getting these cooked through. We want some browning. and some development of chickeny goodness down in the pan. And they are releasing from the bottom of the pan as well. Well, that first one did. They should all. Yeah, okay. That one's... yeah. They should all be releasing from the bottom of the pan as they cook, which will help us preserve the skin. But yeah, the entire year has been Newegg's 25th anniversary. They've been doing a year-long 25th anniversary thing, where on the 25th of every month, they're doing special sales for the anniversary, rather than just have it be a one-time thing. So they've actually had some really good sales, and then that's overlapping with what looks like they're having a big sort of summer sale. So there's been some really good ones. So I would check them out if you're looking for computer stuff at the moment. Especially given that the prices of stuff look like they're about to explode once again. Not super looking forward to that. I don't think the new computer is going to affect us here at all, because honestly, I think for the time being, I'm going to keep streaming from this computer. We might... if I can keep this one alive, it doesn't need to do the heavy lifting. If it just needs to be a stream machine, I could potentially set up a 2-computer system and stream something from that. I've always had dreams of diversifying my channel, and I always talk about it, and then I don't do it. Ooh, that one's the best browned one. Those guys are looking pretty good. Those guys are looking pretty good. Oh, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take them out of there, turn the heat, or take the pan off the heat, turn the heat off to chop all our vegetables. The chicken's going to rest on a plate over here. But we're going to use the drippings from the chicken, along with the olive oil, along with anything that sticks, to start the base of our the rest of our process. Oh, and we're going to have to... okay, yeah, no. Because we're going to want to soften some peppers. Okay, yeah. Because it's going to be ginger, garlic, bell pepper, tomato, hot pepper, thyme, curry powder, paprika. I think we're going to go with the smoked paprika. Bay. And then like half of these use rosemary and the other half don't use rosemary. And chicken bouillon. Oh, we're going to need that. The combination of ginger and rosemary and curry and thyme is such a strange one to my mind, to my brain meats. Just getting stuff out. We'll probably going for black pepper. I think we're going to skip the salt and use chicken powder as our primary salt component. Let's see how well these guys are coming on the other side. Pretty good, pretty good. That one's, those are both sticking. That one's releasing, releasing. Red stew, indeed. Will I be adding chili crisp to it? I don't think so, because I'm trying to adhere to the flavor profiles of the original, and that's definitely not in there. But I'll also be taste testing it, and if I decide it needs that, then we can throw some of it in there. That would also enhance the redness, for sure. Hi, Ria, welcome in. Hello, hello. We're doing step one. We're chit-chatting while step one happens before I do anything else. Step one is brown off these chicken legs. That one still wants to stick. Ah, ow! I keep getting zapped by the spitting oil too, which I don't love. But how's it going, Ryu? Red stew. Our red stew is being based on Nigerian chicken stew, which is also called red stew. On account of it being so red, you see. And yeah, that is quite a lot of oil. I think I added too much oil, but I always see this dish with quite a lot of oil in it. And I think it's usually palm oil, which we're not using. Well, I say that seems like a lot of oil. This recipe from Chef Lola calls for half a cup of oil, which is quite a lot of oil. Red as in communism. Yes, I heard in the news that communism is the #1 threat to peace, safety, security, and the American way. So I was like, sign me up. And I looked up what is communism, and the internet said it's red stuff. So we're making red soup. Yes, you got it. You put together 3 and 3 and ended up with a total of 4. Chef, hello. Drew you out of lurk, huh? 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 Hi, how's it going? What's on your menu today? Preview your nonsense for us. How nonsense is it? I'm taking these guys out. This one's bleeding, but I'm taking it out. If you're not a follower of the chef, don't follow them directly from their channel head there, because that's not the one they use for their channel. Don't worry about the don't worry about the chicken being undercooked, because of course it's going in the stew, and it's going to have lots of time to further cook. We are going to take it off the heat, though. Rainbow Tostadas. Here, I will shout out the actual channel. But hello, welcome. How's it going? Is it hot yet? It's very hot here. I've been hiding inside all day. My new air conditioner has been working hard, but absolutely working well. So we're in good shape. I'm actually in good shape. Um, okay, that all's gonna sit there. We're gonna chop vegetables now. The chicken can rest however long it needs to. Last I looked, I was at 91, which is hot, which is pretty hot. Let's get out a bowl. I did burn my hand a little bit just now on the splattering oil. A lot of splattering out of that thing. That was a bit of a mistake, and I've got little ouchies on my hand. You ever have red? Any of you ever have red stew? You ever heard of it before today? I have. It's one of the ones that I've run across in my research pictures a lot as like an iconic dish from the West African region. But I don't have any West African restaurants around here. So when I make stuff from West African cuisine, I got to make it myself. Um, Yeah, I know it's definitely hotter elsewhere. It's also humid today, but also we're in the north. I'm in the north. We are we are not accustomed to hot. I need to practice my knife claw. I am unaccustomed to the hotness. 91 has warranted an extreme heat advisory in this region because we are not prepared for it. It is too much. It was supposed to get up to 94. We might have gotten there, but that was supposed to be the high. And then the overnight low, this is the really terrible part. The overnight low was supposed to be 78, which is still quite warm. Not not loving that. It means we don't get the overnight cool off that usually is the thing that rescues us up here. It's been worse. 2 summers ago, we had overnight lows in the 80s and daytime highs in the hundreds. Okay. Onion. Pepper. Not the pig. And we're just going to sort of hack it apart because it doesn't need to be pretty. The use of bell pepper in this dish, and it's in every version of the dish I found, suggests that this dish was developed relatively recently. I'm not going to say recently, but relatively recently, because this would have had to have been an ingredient that was back shipped back to Africa from the Americas, which has some, problematic connotations as to the time frame, but also the tomatoes. Although I think tomatoes spread faster than bell peppers did. Um, It calls for red bell peppers because, of course, everything in this dish is red, red, red. I don't have red ones. I got some orange ones in a dollar bag. Climate change is a hoax. I did hear that. A guy told me that and then said, here, buy this coal. And I didn't see any conflict of interest there, so I bought the coal. And burned it, and that's what we're cooking on today. You think that's gonna be the next thing? They keep trying to push. They keep trying to push everyone to go back to gas cooktops. That's the inroad, because a lot of places have moved away from gas cooktops. Anyway, I gotta get it back. Gotta go back to gas cooktops. You think if they succeed there, they're gonna take the next step and start pushing people? Oh, you gotta go back to coal. Oh, so what is everybody else having tonight? We heard about rainbow tostadas, which I think that might be where I end up after this, because that sounds good. Assuming I don't go super long, which these haven't gotten away from me and gone super long in a while, but it has happened. Pretty hungry, so I don't want it to go super long. Back to wood. Back to whale oil. Don't you know? Or they're so obsessed with beef, we'll start burning beef fat as fuel in addition to eating it. Well, thank you, chef. When I don't go super fast, I have reasonably good knife work. I think we're going to do the other pepper as well. I should do it the chefy way and cut it. The prominence of the pepper in these recipes and the proportion of pepper is quite high. So I think you're supposed to put in quite a bit of it. It is the main source of sweetness, I think. I was also reading about how the origins, I don't often dive into the origins of the recipes, but this one came up because multiple people mentioned it in their description things. So I couldn't help but see it. Uh, and it was that apparently in West Africa, the chickens that they eat are mostly older ones, retired uh, egg layers or roosters, which means they're tough. So this recipe specifically is supposed to use old tough chicken and then it stews it tender. And I thought that was an interesting thing. I don't have access to old tough chicken because I live in the land of America where we horrifically abuse our livestock to make them have short, depressing lives, which makes the meat tender. We're going to lose our nice dice on this part, the bottom part here. Oh, you splurged on a ribeye. I haven't splurged on beef in quite a minute. Oh, our rice is done. I'll let it stop beeping. Stop beeping. I'm right here. There we go. I haven't splurged on beef. What's the last thing I splurged on that wasn't an on sale item? Just got some lamb, but that was on sale. It was the nice meat from Nuski's. Not fancy, but nice. Top quality. And I didn't get very much. Okay, that's our onions and peppers. We're gonna plus all of our mises before we get too much further here. We're not using a Scotch bonnet because I don't have a Scotch bonnet, and also Scotch bonnets are incredibly spicy. Instead, I'm going to chop up a chile de árbol, which is the hottest regular pepper that I typically have access to. But we're going to leave the seeds and stuff in there because that's going to enhance our hotness. Down the line. Throw in some fresh ginger. I'm going to throw that in right there with that pepper because it's going to go in at the same time for maximum infuse. Never talk about that. Usually when you see like recipe layout with all the little bowls. Everything is in its own separate dish. And they do that for visibility. But there's no real reason to do that for yourself. It's just for visibility for the demonstration part. I like when I prep things and put them in little dishes to combine them in the bowls that are going to go in at the same time. So the bell pepper and onion there are going in at the same time. There's no reason to have two bowls. The ginger and the hot peppers here are both going in at the same time, right at the beginning, actually. So there's no reason to have two bowls there. Now the garlic is going in separately. So it's going to get its own little bowl. And as always, prep your garlic in advance. Let the flavor develop before you need it. Don't do it right at the last instant. Let's go with 4. Little garlic house. Now this garlic had previously been very easy to peel, so don't think I'm going to need the tube. They're just going to come off. There are some practices, and they're good practices for the teaching side, but then they don't talk about doing it. So I think that there's this idea that all your little ingredients have to be in their own separate dishes. And I bet you a lot of home chefs do that. They separate every little thing because they see it being done in the cookbooks. They see it being done in the YouTube videos. A little blemish on that guy. We will simply ignore that. Those little blemishes don't look so nice. If they're not actively rotten looking, they're just scars. It's just damage to the surface that has sort of healed over. So, you take a look at them, but it's smooth. It's just a little blemish. But yeah, I think it's good to talk about things you're doing. Also, things that you're not doing. These garlics are a smidge. This head of garlic was a smidge old. It's been trying to sprout. You can see that there. I'm not going to chop those off. That's another one. A lot of internet chefs say, "Oh, don't use the little sprouty thing." I say nuts to that. Use the little sprouty thing. It's basically a scallion, but garlic flavored. And then we actually haven't talked out the process for doing garlic in a while. We peel it. We cut the little hard bottom end where the root comes out off, because that thing never really softens up. And then we lay the flat of our blade, or you don't have to use the flat of your blade. You can use anything. You can just use your hand if you want. I like having the flat of the blade. Or one of these, because you can use it to scrape up your garlic. And just give it a light tap. Don't mash the crap out of it. And what you're doing there is crushing up the cells in the garlic. The garlic doesn't need to be mashed to a pulp. But a little bit of crush damage like that helps wake up the flavor. You immediately start smelling the garlic after you've crushed it like that. And you do that before you mince it up, because knives tend to be very sharp If you've got a dull knife, your dull knife will also crush a lot of the garlic as you're cutting. But if you've got a really sharp knife, it won't. It'll give you nice clean cuts, and you won't get that crushed up garlic bonus flavor. So you crush it a little bit before you're running the knife through it, and then you do this a little bit to it to, you know, agitate it even more. And it makes your garlic more garlicky, which could mean that you use less of it, or it could mean that your thing that you're making with it tastes more of garlic. Garlic is such a fascinating ingredient in that way. It really changes up a lot depending on what form you add it, how you prepare it before you add it, how long you prepare it before you add it. Garlic. Okay. Hot pepper, ginger, garlic, onion, bell pepper, dry spices. All the dry spices are going in at the same time as well. They can just go in a bowl together. I'm not roasting my veggies. We're going to get browning in the pan. Garlic, ginger, chicken. That's right, I'm going to grind a couple of these things. We're going to pull out eyeballing dry whole rosemary is a little tough. I'm shooting for equal parts dried rosemary and dried thyme. Maybe a little bit lighter on the thyme. Thyme tends to be kind of an overpowering. Oh my goodness, it's Jen. Oh my goodness, it is Jen. 35 months. Jen, what are you doing? Jen, why? Jen, we have like a toddler now. Thank you so much, Jen. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. A whole ass toddler. One entire ass toddler. Do we grind up the bay leaf? I think we don't grind up the bay leaf. I think we just throw them in normally. But we might throw them in a little bit early and toast them before we add juicy stuff on top. I added a pinch of salt here because the salt will act as an abrasive to help grind up these leaves. Otherwise, sometimes grinding your leafy herbs can be quite difficult. If you ever feel the need to grind bay, do it in a mortar and pestle with some salt. It will actually grind. You will actually get a powder out of it. I've tried doing that in a spice grinder, like the motorized kind, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. What is red stew? Red stew, also called chicken stew, also called stew, is a dish from Western Africa. It's not always chicken. It is always red. It's something that I've seen a lot in my general recipe research. It always looks really good, and I want to try it. And we're trying it today because I came across some discount chicken drumsticks, and I don't normally buy drumsticks, and you want bone-in pieces of chicken for this. So that was the first thing we did, was brown off our drumsticks. They're over there on the side waiting for me. But it is a spiced, tomato-based stew with whole bone-in pieces of chicken stewed in it. And then I've seen it served with fufu. I'm skipping the fufu because I've had a bad time with fufu in the past. And I think that should be a standalone, like, we're going to make fufu but correctly, rather than do it on the side of this. So I'm serving mine with rice today because that's a very easy one. The rice is already done. It's in the rice cooker right next to me here, ready to go whenever I am done with it. We're currently just mising our plosses. We've got hot pepper, ginger, garlic, rosemary, thyme, bell pepper, onion, canned tomato. I was going to throw in one of these guys. Which is not the correct kind of pepper. We are skipping the Scotch bonnet. We're using some of my existing Mexican peppers. Instead, because I don't know if you've ever had a Scotch bonnet, but I don't have one, and they are ridiculously hot. So we're making the less intensely spicy version of this. We're getting the seeds out of, this is a guajillo, which I think is going to add a fun, I want to add it as well because it's going to help with the redness of our finished thing. And it's going to help with the peppery flavor. Not the hotness, but like the pepper flavor. Since I think the orange bell pepper has less intensely peppery flavor than the red, in my opinion. I am HO. Why does everyone say that with the H? Why is it humble? No. My opinion's not humble. Yeah, so I've never had this before. I've seen it a bunch, and I want to try it. We're using a reference recipe. I looked up a bunch of recipes. They're similar, but not identical. So I'm using one as a reference, but I'm kind of just keeping in my head all the ones I looked at. So the one we have the reference is Chef Lola. And again, we've already made a few changes. Most notably the types of peppers we're getting involved here. But how you been? What's up? What's new? And for everyone, as always, what's for dinner? And how hot is it? Both the dinner and the surroundings. That's always the... I considered making something cold today. Just a non-cooking day. Do cold food. Because it's a toasty. It's a toasty one out there. Out there. Ah. Ooh. $3 pork tenderloin. Caught up with a friend from college. Reconnected with a friend from college by the sounds of things. I always hated that kind of drama nonsense, so glad to hear that worked out. $3 pork tenderloin sounds good. Let's grab some really sad looking bay leaves. I lost one. Oh, there it is. Some of the saddest little bay leaves, I think. They're going to go in the pan now. Glacier. A 7-streak Glacier. Put some dang clothes on. You're streaking. Teaspoon of smoked paprika. I bet today the breeze being nice, yeah, you know, I retract my assertion. Fly free. It's a maybe stay out of the sun. Don't get sunburned. Paprika, thyme, rosemary, more paprika. Wow, this one wants lots of paprika. We'll do half smoked, half sweet. It's got paprika in 2 places. Ginger, garlic, the hot peppers, bay, chicken powder that's going to be added at a strange time, so I'm just going to leave that there. And curry powder. That's the one that every one of these recipes included curry powder, and I was surprised. But who am I to argue? Didn't get it out in advance. Gotta find it in the nonsense here. Curry. And quite a bit of it. Although not an overwhelming amount, because we're not making a curry here. And then, yeah, chicken bouillon, which I'm going to use that. And it does actually call for the powder as well. I think that's all of our little bowls ready. And then all we need to do is open our cans. Salt, pepper to taste, as always, and yeah. It doesn't say. It says 1 teaspoon curry powder. Okay, so this can, I'm a little bit leery. It might be slightly metallic tasting, so we're going to open it, taste it plain with a little spoon, just to see if it's got that metallic taste to it. Because this can's a little on the old side, and if it is not good, then I'm going to switch to the other one that's in a carton. What is that? What is that black thing on top of my tomatoes? That doesn't look right. That looks like perhaps contamination in my tomatoes. It's very small. You guys can't see it, but it doesn't look like tomato to me. Looks like a little black spot. Hmm. Hmm. I don't like that. It smells fine. I'm gonna ask the internet. Eh. Oh, I think it's a seed. Yeah, it's a seed. Okay. I'm going to trust it. I am still going to taste it for metallic flavors. Otherwise, looks good. Hmm. I'm trying to tell if I'm tasting it funny or if it's just because it's raw and very acidic as a result. I think it's just because it's raw. Um, we're gonna use it, which means we're gonna start cooking because that was the last element. So over here, heat on, peppers and ginger in pan. And we need a spatula, specifically a red spatula to avoid staining. And I've got the bay leaves in early as well because I want them to wake up their flavors a little bit. So yeah, we're cooking. What's the process? This one has me roast all the stuff. We're not roasting all the stuff. Has me blend it, which we're also not doing. We could hit it with a stick blender. We could hit it with a stick blender. Remove the chicken from the pan. We did that because I did the chicken first. Add the onions to the pan. And then add the roasted bell peppers and tomatoes. So we're kind of doing this out of order. Cook that out. We're gonna throw some tomato paste in here. That's the bit. Do I have a tomato paste? Ooh, we might not. Wow, I've got a lot of anchovy paste. Didn't fully respect how many anchovy pastes I had. We do not have a tomato paste in the house. That's interesting. Um, okay, well. We will throw in some of our dried tomato pieces to make up for it then. Get that intenser tomato-ness going. Okay, we want the flavors here to infuse the oil a bit. We want the flavors to wake up a little bit themselves as well, which the heat and oil will help them do. But we aren't really looking for these to get very well cooked at this point. We just want to wake stuff up before we add a bunch of wet to this. Oh, ba-da-ba-da. I'm debating whether or not I want to end up blending this. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm in for a very chill cook because this is just add stuff to pan now. Everything's going to end up in this pan by the end. I can smell my dried tomatoes. Okay, we're going to cook these. We're going to go past translucent and go for a little bit of browning on them. Because I did not do the roasting of any of the vegetables step. So in order to get some of that roasty flavor, we're going to do that. This is also where I am going to add my chicken powder in lieu of salt, because we were going to add the chicken powder to this anyways. We needed to add chicken powder to this regardless. And the salt in it will help us sweat out, soften up these vegetables, because the onions and peppers need to get pretty darn soft here. We want quite a bit of juice. Coming out of these guys. Try to push our dried tomatoes to the bottom so that they give more time to rehydrate. The more buried they are, the more they're going to get immersed in the juice that comes off of the vegetables, the more they're going to be able to hydrate up in time for me to blend them together. I feel like I'm not doing anything, but it's because I actually prepped all my ingredients in advance, so there's none of the hecticness that I usually inflict upon myself by not prepping everything in advance. I've got time to wash dishes now, partway through, while the cooking progresses. This is so unlike me. It's freaky the way I which is good because it gives us a chance to wash up our chickeny things. I also successfully did all of my previous dishes in advance and got them all put away. So there's also just room to put the fresh dishes in the drying area immediately. Again, this is so unlike me. I left you guys looking at the pan because I don't even need to do anything to it at the moment. Quite a lot of juice coming out of them, which is good, good, good. The tomatoes are getting nice and soft as well. Good, good, good. Everything is good, good, good. Nice chill day. Who am I and what have I done with myself? So yeah, we're gonna get these guys softened up. We're gonna get the onions translucent, the peppers mushed down, softened down. I don't. We're probably gonna add the thyme and rosemary first. Let them wake up a little bit. Then throw the garlic in. Get that fragrant. Then our tomatoes with the remaining powders. And then it's a matter of stewing it together. So we're just watching this for... I put quite a bit in here, so there is a need to turn it to ensure that everybody is getting to the bottom, nice and immersed in their juices. Probably do need the stick blender. I think I'm going to want this blended together. Ya-da-do, da-dee-da-do. Oh yeah, the dried tomatoes are falling apart in here, which is good, good. Gonna get a chopsticks ready because we're gonna want to pull those bay leaves out, I think, before I blend. So I don't think they're gonna blend well, and I don't want little bay leaf shards in my finished stew. You know what we don't? You know what we don't have? Any at all is water. Yo-da-dee-da-do, yo-do-do-da-dee. Okay. Gonna snag out our bay leaves now. There's already some shards. The bay leaves are so plasticky that they end up being very difficult to sort of incorporate into things. You can force them. I've done it. That's our rosemary and thyme and a smidge of salt. Oh, that became fragrant immediately. And since it did, we're going to go right for the garlic as well, which shouldn't be quite as instantaneous. Stir that in though, let it toast up. I'm still a little leery of the canned tomato because it is over its date. The thing is, this can of tomatoes is over its date. And that doesn't mean it's spoiled, but over date canned tomatoes often take on a metallic taste. In my experience, that metallic taste is very mild when they're not cooked, and it becomes more intense as you cook them, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't want to ruin this by putting in a bunch of steel flavor. Now, it's not massively over its date, just a bit. Keeping some water on hand. We need some for this as is. You're supposed to add water as needed to maintain the consistency of the stew. I'm going to go with the carton tomatoes, which will not have that metallic taste because they're not in a metal container. And I also need to use those up. So if I feel like I need more tomato, I will draw from the can to supplement. Because then if it does have an off taste, it'll only be a mild off taste. Got these for $2, which is because it's kind of like a slightly fancy brand, strained tomato, which essentially is just they took the seeds out. So yeah, it means no seeds and no bits of tomato skin, no like fragments of the stem or the core, because it's been run through a sieve to ensure that all those chunky things are not present. That is that was immediately too thick as well. It's supposed to be a little on the soupy side at this stage. But we want to bring this up to a simmer. And then we want to blend it. Or do I blend it now when it's not boiling hot? Probably blend it now before it comes back up to a simmer, because it'll be easier to do. We don't get the pleasure of hearing the lawnmowers today, not because they're not mowing on this, the hottest day of the year, but because they mowed very, very early today. Concerningly early today. We are making a damn mess out of this. That was a mess. You guys only saw part of the splatter. That is going to be the big cleanup of the day. He got everywhere. Okay. Back on the stove, we return our bay leaves, stir them back in they can start infusing. I mean, you say to beat the heat, but it was 2 p.m. It was already darn hot when they showed up. Also, I would have just skipped it today because they're going to cut the grass in this heat, and all those little cut ends of the grass are just immediately going to go crispy. If you wanted to really kill your grass, I would mow it on the hottest day of the year to ensure that it goes real crispy, and then you don't have to mow it again. Anyways, we blended that because the goal of this is for that part to be very blendy. We're going to bring it back to a simmer. Simmer up now. We're bringing this guy to a simmer. We are going to cook out the raw tomato flavor from it. When I'm happy with the flavors, we're going to immerse the chicken. And then we're going to cook the chicken until it's cooked through and hopefully tender. Short term, we're going to cook the bubbles. Oop, you guys are covered in towel. Short term, we're going to cook the bubbles out of it because I definitely forced some air into it by blending. And I feel like we're going to want to stir it quite a bit for the first part here. But maybe not. I don't know. I think I've already forced the air out of it. But yeah, I want to make sure it's up to a simmer before I put the chicken into it. Yeah, the towel. I threw the towel. The towel, the hand towel there, lives normally on the handle of the camera at the stove, because that's a very convenient place for it. But it's right next to the camera, so there's the danger of me getting it in the camera. Oh, I heard my phone beep. Hopefully that's nothing important. Thunderstorm tonight. That's probably good news. That'll help poke a hole in the heat a little bit. Hopefully, maybe. This is bubbling slightly. Let's give it a taste. See what we're working with. See what we need to adjust. There's no pepper in it yet. Probably should have waited before I added all that water to it. hot, spicy, it's acidic. It's very acidic. Ooh, it's got a spice to it. I did throw in the seeds from that chile de árbol, so we've gone with spicy. I don't think it's too intense. I'm gonna juice it with some black pepper and some additional chicken powder. Serve our white rice, pasta, couscous, or bread. We're bubbling. We're bubbling good. I think I'm supposed to thicken it up a little before I dive in with the chicken, but our chicken needs to be cooked through. So I think I'm gonna put the chicken in early. That one's bleeding quite a lot. Make sure to get some of our stuff on top of each chicken as well. And the little guy. Oh, all of our chickens have sunk. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We're also going to scrape the drippings off of our plate in there, because that's just chickeny goodness. And while it is raw chickeny goodness, this is boiling hot soup. We're cooking it out, so. Okay, we're stewing our chickens. We're putting a lid on. No, we're not, because I want it to evaporate. We're leaving it open. We're leaving it open. Our goal is chicken, tender chicken. Our goal is tender chicken. Now the stuff, the juice, the stew, the tomato part, we're going to have quite a bit of that. And that's another thing I've looked at. This stuff, the red stew, the reason this is has such a generic name of red stew or just chicken stew or sometimes just stew, is because this stuff, the red liquid that's left over here, is used as a basis for a bunch of other recipes in Nigerian cuisine. The one that it calls out is that this stuff is the stuff that you use to make jollof rice. But it means that you get quite a bit of it and you use it for other things. It comes out as a sauce for other stuff or an ingredient base upon which you build other dishes. So I think I will have to jar some of it when I'm done, because there's going to be too much for me to use today. But I'm going to want to probably jar it in a way that I know it's not going to go off. I have a bad habit of putting stuff in jars and then finding it later and being like, there's a big old fuzzy top on that guy, and he goes in the trash. Which is a shame. I hate doing that. But it happens. But it happens to me frequently. I'm very forgetful with things I put in the fridge. I did end up, speaking of things I put in the fridge, I did end up discarding the extra weird butter shrimp sauce from last time. Because I didn't use it when I ate the remainder of the stuff, which was too salty, by the way. I didn't use it when I ate the remainder of that stuff. And then when I opened it to see if I could do anything with it, the smell of artificial butter came back to me, and I was like, ugh, I don't know, guys. I don't want to try this. I don't really care enough to try to salvage this. So I just pitched it. It was definitely a bit of a waste, but man, that artificial butter flavor that was in that shrimp just did not work. A real shame. Which means the bacon that was in there went to waste. I don't even think it was that bad. It was just like unappealing, and it would have taken so much work for me to just kind of cover up the unappealing flavor. Because that's essentially what I would have had to have done with it, is add a bunch of stuff to it to cover up that flavor. And that just felt like a waste of ingredients to me. So I didn't, and I just forgot about it. I just said, screw it. So that's a shame. I'm trying to keep my fridge under control. The freezers is a lost cause. It shouldn't be a lost cause, and it's not, because we just took something out of the freezer. These chicken legs came out of the freezer. I also reorganized the freezer so I can get at things better. But we're gonna keep chipping away at the freezer. Things should be better organized. I need to stop adding stuff to it. We also need to think about the holidays. Boy, that's coming up, isn't it? The 4th is on a Saturday, and I have to work that day. The 4th is on a Saturday, and I have to work that day. What's the oldest thing in the freezer? There's a duck breast in here. There's a smoked duck breast. Smoked, shrink-wrapped, frozen duck breast that I believe is the oldest individual item. I do not get holiday pay for working the 4th. There is no holiday pay differential at my place of work. But we are closing early, so it will not interfere with fireworks time. But it is a bit of a shame that I don't just get a whole day that day. It's not the best. I might be able to wrangle something on the 3rd, on the Friday before. I work that day too, but I work in the morning, so I would be able to do, that would be this Friday. I would be able to wrangle something. We could maybe do a 4th holiday, or a holiday thing. Just looking at my calendar, which is over here in the other room. All right, because I open on the 3rd, so I'll be back early enough to do stuff. Fascinating. Yep. I was closed on New Year's Day, so that was not even on the cards. We're just straight up closed that day. But Christmas Eve, day after Christmas, New Year's Eve, we're open. So I definitely worked Christmas Eve. I think I might have got the day after off. I don't remember. But then it was the day after that I had to work again. So it didn't last long. Yeah. On the other hand, Jen, I don't know if you heard. Probably not. I don't know. I've lost track of who I've told and who was here. I have been bumped up to assistant manager at my place of work, so I'm moving up in the world. And we have the boss and I, and also the existing manager, so it's not coming out of nowhere, have intent to move me up further to full-on manager at some point. The existing manager is looking for someone to take his place. So, exciting developments. So my pay scale should progressively improve heading into the back half of the year. And then, yes, at some point, the reins of power will be handed over to me, and I will be the one writing the schedule, which means I can give myself any random time. You know, I probably shouldn't foist all the worst days onto the staff, but if I want to do a special stream on a day, I can be like, I'll just give myself that day off and come and hang out with you guys. Perhaps we shouldn't abuse the power. Perhaps we shouldn't talk about abusing the power in advance. Quite so advancedly. Our dish right now is just simmering those chickens in the juice. So all I have to do is talk, chit chat and talk with the lid off because I want it to thicken. We're going to give it a stir to ensure that the bottom's not sticking too badly. The chickens can stay immersed and get stirred around. They're fine. But I want to make sure this doesn't burn on the bottom. Ah, ow, it's hot. Who could have thought that this thick, bubbling liquid was hot? You guys should have warned me. This looks significantly less oily than the ones I've seen online. Yes, we are serving it with rice. The rice is already cooked, actually. It's in the rice cooker. This will be, the chicken leg will be propped atop a rice with a dose of our sauce. It says you can serve, examples of things to serve it with are: serve over white rice, pasta, couscous, freshly baked bread, and this one doesn't say it, but the other one did say it, fufu, which is prepared cassava, that like eating dough, that cassava, that sort of soft stuff. You use it as a scooper to scoop up the stuff. Little red speckles everywhere. Every time this thing bubbles, it puts the little red speckles. But I want to make sure that our chicken is nice and tender. That's the thing. This sort of slow, wet cook should do a good job of tenderizing the chicken. And we didn't start out with tough, old rooster the way the recipe is originally designed. So we shouldn't need... I'm getting the mud volcano effect. I shouldn't need to spend a long time. It only says, cook the chicken until tender, about 20 minutes. So it doesn't even for its old tough rooster meat that it's intended to be used with, doesn't even really need to be cooked that long. We should think about the plate. What plate do we want to put this on? It is, of course, red, but it's being served with white rice, and the chicken itself isn't taking on a ton of color, so it's going to have that sort of yellowish chicken color to it. If I scrape the sauce off, so I can have contrasting colors. It could be a bowl, either a full bowl. I think a shallow bowl. Tell you what I'm thinking. Tell you which one I'm thinking. I'll get it. Not thinking a plate, but I'm thinking one of this type of bowl. I'm thinking one of this style, where it's got some depth to it. It's also green, so the white and red will stand out against it, in theory. It's kind of a dark green, and this red of the stew is not a really super intense bright red. I don't really have a bright green. I do have a yellow plate, but I don't have a yellow bowl. I think this is going to be soupy, and you're going to want something with some sides. The other option is to go for one of my white ones. That's the safe bet. They've got some depth to them, but they got a nice wide side. I just think that if you're serving white rice, that kind of vanishes into the white plate. So I was thinking this guy, this green guy, because he's also big enough. Ow! Ow! What the hell? Holy crap, I just stepped on a shard of glass. Where did that come from? Ow! Ow! Why is there a shard of glass on the floor of my house? I didn't break anything. What the hell? Technical difficulties, guys. Ow! Ow, and I'm bleeding. Just a tiny little nick, but what the hell? Where did that come from? You guys look at the stew. I guess I might have tracked it on the bottom of a shoe. It was like just a little fragment. I'm barefoot right now because I'm just walking around my house. And I don't normally keep broken glass on the floor of my house. It's just a little nick, but it is bleeding, so that's... What the heck? Oh, let's get over here and see if there's anything else on the floor while I'm thinking of it. Ow. So bear with me for a moment, guys, because I'm going to wash that out and put a bandage on it. Ow. already seems like it's trying to close up. It is just a little nick, but it might not even need a full bandage. Just something to protect it while I stand around now. Heck! I haven't broken any glassware recently, so that's not normal. How's the chicken doing? Keep an eye on that for me. I gotta put a bandage on this. Where'd my bandages go? Where are my bandages at? Bandages. Well, this is an interesting development for sure. Is this the first time I've proper injured myself on stream? And it's not even a kitchen injury. There's the bandages. Oh, I was over. Thing is, there's glass on this shelf where I was at. So did something fall and crack? Yeah, it's already sealing up because it is a little tiny nick. So put just one of those little dot bandages on it so that it's protected. It should be closed up in short order. Huh. Maybe I'll put some shoes on. Okay, well, I'm back with a bandage on my foot. Let's see how these guys are looking. That one's still bleeding a little bit. Let's flip him over, have the bloody side go down. Ow. And the little one, there we go. Let's get out a probe thermometer. I wasn't intending to have a side dish, no. Usually how I see this dish served is itself with a substantial quantity of rice. And then some like greenery scattered over the top, but like garnish style. Oop. That chicken's below temp. Not a ton below temp, but a little bit. That one's at 170. So no, I wasn't actually intending to have any kind of a side to this. If I had, I would have planned that out by now. Right? Oh, that one's at 170, and that one went in pretty easy. I think that's the biggest one, but it looks like there might be some temperature inconsistencies around our pan here. All right, we're only at 161, 162, 164. So it is just about there. It is just about there. But yeah, the sauce is, honestly, I think the sauce should thicken a little more. It's very savory, very tomato prominent sauce. Mmm. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, the rawness has cooked out of it completely, which has knocked down the acidity quite a bit. It's very good. Um, I get what you mean with serving it with. Oh, this is going to be the cleanup's going to be fun over here. Serving it with something, but I think we're just going to serve it as is. We're just going to go for the straight dish. And honestly, I tempt all those chickens. They are done in terms of doneness. The greenery that I have available is either celery tops, chives, or scallions. And I think the celery tops is the most appropriate here. We're going to do a mess of rice. I'm going to take this over to the thing rather than bring the thing here. Take out our big old chicken. Plunk them on top. And the little tiny one as well. I want a twofer, and I want the little one to be the other one. And then I scoop out some of the juice. Really dig down, get a lot of the stewy part to it. I've noticed the stew has a habit of separating into like a liquidy top and sort of a pulpy bottom. So it does require a refreshing stir now and again. And then I guess I'm going to take the heat off and lid it so it doesn't keep popping at me. You know, looking at this now that I put the stew on top, I want chicken bones to be up. And then, yeah, so either celery top or chive, I think. I don't need parsley. I did not pick up parsley. I didn't go out today. Everything we're working with today is things I had available because I didn't want to go anywhere. But celery top, I think, is our green of choice. It's a different shade of green than the plate as well, which I think will improve things. I want to really mince up the stem. Bit less vigorous on the leafy part here. And a little garnish sprig from the top of it. And that, I think, is my served dish. Minus a small amount of bowl cleanup. Let's go take our picture, come back and see what we're working with in terms of the chickeny part. I did taste the red part just to make sure our seasonings were on point, so I'm not going to be massively surprised by the flavors. Already know they're good. Ah, dang it. Caught my pants on the table. It smells really good too. This is one of those ones where we did blend it all together and all the ingredients were kind of just red, but it's all the aromatics. It's a bunch of tomatoes. It's a bunch of savories sort of layered on top of each other. There's kind of like no way this wasn't going to be good. I'm interested with the process of stewing whole pieces of chicken like this in the stew. That's the sort of twist here. The flavors, you kind of know are going to be good because these are all good flavors. This isn't like breaking massive new ground flavor-wise. It's technique that kind of has me interested. Ooh, it's hot. It is hot. I will give it that. I don't have those hot boy fingers. But I'm most curious about just like You know, the flavors didn't actually infuse into the chicken much at all. Chicken is nicely cooked, but it's tastes very chickeny. The red flavors are all on the outside, which makes a nice contrast. It seems like a relatively easy way to cook big pieces of chicken as well. Where did I put my spoon? My tasting spoon. Oh, it's here. So honestly, the chicken is just kind of like well-cooked chicken drumsticks. The skin, I'm a little leery because we browned the skin at the beginning, but then the skin's kind of just been boiling in the tomato sauce. It's not flabby. It didn't take on that kind of flabby boiled skin texture. I like the skin. It's soft. It's not crisp, but it doesn't have that flabbiness to it. That worked. I don't know if that's entirely because of the browning or if that's the acidity of the tomatoes helping. The red tomato stew part, the consistency of it, the texture of it is very much like a marinara. The flavors of it, it's very savory, it's spicy, it's got a sharpness to it. We really didn't mitigate the acidity of the tomatoes much at all in this dish. So it's got a very assertive tomato flavor to it. But it's got like depth. It's got some sort of depth and complexity elements that I don't get out of a normal like Italian tomato sauce. I can definitely see the Mediterranean influences in this. We are in like northwestern Africa, so we're not very far away from the Mediterranean, from like Morocco. I'm not specifically tasting the curry. I'm not specifically tasting the rosemary or the thyme, but there's definitely some spice complexity. The spices underlying the tomatoes are definitely have some complexity. And I think that's the point. They're all stewed together so you can't taste them. And then again, this sauce is used as a base for other dishes. I would not add either of those to this review. This is already quite acidic. It's very savory, but it's savory and acidic. It's not greasy. It's not heavy. I think it actually could stand a little bit of sweetness to balance it out, because I think that's where it's pushing. It's pushing in the maybe just slightly too acidic direction. I likely didn't use the correct variety of tomato for this. I don't know what kind of tomatoes they actually put in this one in this carton that I used. Probably just says tomatoes. Yep, ingredient, tomatoes. So odds are it's supposed to be a slightly less acidic tomato. How would this sauce work for enchilada? I think this would actually go really, since it is a fairly acidic sauce, I think this would go really well with something greasy, something cheesy, something with that sort of fatty element to it. I also think that maybe this, but with like the same amount of sauce, the same amount of stew, but with a lot more chicken in a much bigger pot, like Cook for the Village style thing. Because then you would get more of the chicken fat rendering out and then joining with this thing. I think that is the duck. I think would go really well here. Because I think what you want here is some more fat. When I see this dish served on the pictures, it always has like a visible layer of fat on top of it. And mine has a little bit, but it's not swimming. Now I know to some degree that's because they use red palm oil, which enhances the red flavor and also gives you a lot of that sort of floating fat, which is why I went with a lot of olive oil at the start. But I think you would get that if you just increase the proportion of meat or decrease the proportion of the stuff. I don't know about bacon. I don't know about pork in general for this, but you definitely can do this with beef. Beef is the other one that is recommended in the things as a red stew element. And if we had gone with the beef version, I would have dug out either the short ribs that I've got in here or the oxtails. We've got oxtails that I need to use that are in the freezer at some point. But yes, something fatty. Because honestly, this is very savory. It's not fatty. It's not really very greasy. I will look into things to do with the remaining sauce because we have quite a lot of it. I'm also going to put it in a jar. I've got a big jar. So yes, I will be able to play around with it. It's very good. I don't think there's much cheese in the cuisine where this comes from because it's a hot climate and I don't have a lot of cattle there. But I'm not sure about that. I'm not super familiar with West African cuisine. I just don't think there's a ton of cheese there, but I think this would go really well with cheese. Tonight was Chef Roberto's 76th birthday. Happy birthday, Chef Roberto. And much pizza was made. Hi, Bob. Welcome in. We're on the tasting. I'm talking about potential tweaks, but also other things to do with this sauce, because the sauce is meant to be done with other things. Goat cheese. I bet you they have goat cheese in that region, yeah. That's a good shout. It's rich. It's rich and savory, but not fatty. You know what it could use? You know what it actually could use? Here's something I never do, but honestly, I think this is the shout here. Drizzle of finishing oil. Drizzle of olive oil on top. Monkfish, but then I wouldn't be able to be buried with my monkfish. Why can't I open this olive oil? The little zipper strip just broke. Monkfish is a non-issue. Who are you? When have you done with Bob? Wow, that's the worst lid. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil as a finishing oil is what I want here. God, the worst wrapping I've ever had on a bottle of anything. You missed it, Bob. I had my first bleeding kitchen injury today, and it wasn't even my fault. I stepped on a piece of glass, and I don't know where it came from, because I didn't drop anything. A little bit of cartilage. It could probably have stood to stew a little longer, just for tenderness sake. It's definitely cooked through. That's not the issue. Quite possibly. The neighbors were here very early, mowing today. They mowed at like 2 p.m. I was appalled. Anyways, that's our tasting. We're done with the tasting. Now I'm just eating. Honestly, the stuff, the sauce, better than the chicken. The chicken's fine. Tastes very much like chicken. The sauce is really good. Um, you could use this stuff on pasta. You could use this stuff on a chicken parm. Ooh, this would be really good on a chicken parm. Because it's got a little bit of a spice to it. It's got a little bit of complexity to it. Mmm. This stuff very, very much comes across like taking the concept of an Italian tomato sauce and building it in a different culture's spice realm. The sauce is really good. I think it's going to give me heartburn because it's also very acidic. I might have to take an antacid tonight. I think I'm going to rate us out, though, so I can sit down and chomp on it. Who's on? I think we're going to go check out those rainbow tostadas. That sounded good. Unless there's a really, really compelling alternative. And I don't see one, so committed. The sauce is really good. I think you could make this with any cut of chicken. I don't know. I think it would work best with dark meat. Drumsticks, thighs. You could probably get away with doing it with wings. I wouldn't probably do this with breast. But you could do this. Boy, I bet you could do this really well with like a piece of a pork shoulder with the shoulder blade, one of those shoulder blade steaks. I bet you that'd be really good here too. Goat. Some. Ooh, you could do this with ribs. Sort of stewed in the. I've got ideas. I really like the flavors. I really like the flavor profile here. The sauce is the thing. Yeah, so I'll see if I can't wrangle something for the holiday. And if I fail to do that, then I will see you next Monday. But we'll see if I can't wrangle something for the holiday, which is next weekend. A fly has arrived. I wave goodbye to the fly.